A monastery bell rang through the morning fog. Once, twice, and third time, but no prayer followed. Only fire. Flames crawled up wooden beams. Ash drifted across the courtyard like snow. And from the smoke stepped a shadow, an axe in hand, a shield at his side, and a look that said he feared neither man nor God. For 3 centuries, Europe lived with one warning. The Northmen are coming. But here's what history forgets. Even among Vikings, hard men raised in storm and steel, there were a few so feared that other Vikings whispered their names. Today, we count down the 5 most dangerous Vikings to ever walk this earth, ranked by fear, ruthlessness, and the scars they carved into history. Number 5, Erik the Red, the exile who created a kingdom of outlaws. Most Vikings became infamous through conquest. Erik the Red became dangerous through something stranger. He was outlawed. Twice. Why would a man with 2 outlaw sentences become one of the most influential Vikings in history? Because Erik didn't fear exile. He weaponized it. Erik was born into violence. His father was expelled from Norway for murder, dragging young Erik to Iceland, a place where feuds were fought with axes instead of words. But Iceland didn't soften him. Therefore, when a dispute over borrowed tools escalated into a deadly fight, Erik answered with blood. He killed 2 men, burned a homestead, started a feud so violent that the Icelandic court had only one option. Erik the Red was outlawed for 3 years. An outlaw had no legal protection. Anyone could kill him. So why didn't Erik hide? Why didn't he die? Because Erik had a secret. To survive, he needed followers. To gain followers, he needed hope. So he spread a rumor of a land far west, untouched, fertile, waiting. And he gave it a name designed to deceive. Greenland, a cold, barren place, sold as paradise. But his lie worked. Therefore, exiles, adventurers, and desperate families followed him across the ocean. On Greenland's frozen coastlines, Erik built something impossible. A Viking colony born from outcasts and ruled by a man who solved problems with his axe. Erik wasn't dangerous because he destroyed kingdoms. He was dangerous because he created one out of people society had already thrown away. His legacy would outlive him. His son Leif would discover America. His colony would survive for centuries. Erik the Red turned exile into empire. Number 4, Bjorn, Ironside, the raider who broke the Mediterranean. Vikings weren't supposed to sail the Mediterranean. The journey was too long, the enemies too many, the heat unbearable. But Bjorn Ironside didn't care. He cared about something else, doing what no Viking had ever done, and proving no land was out of reach. Bjorn, son of Ragnar Lothbrok, according to the sagas, gathered a fleet and sailed south, not to raid villages, but to shake entire civilizations. Therefore, France fell first, then Spain, then the coast of Italy. His longships carved a trail through Christian Europe like a sword through parchment. But one story made Bjorn legendary, a city called Luna. Walls too high to scale, gates too strong to break. So how do you capture the impossible? Bjorn faked his own death. He lay in a coffin. His warriors begged the city for Christian burial. The gates opened as priests carried the coffin toward the church altar. Bjorn Ironside exploded from it, a living corpse with a sword in hand. He cut down the bishop on the spot. His men stormed the gates. The city fell. Was the story literal? Maybe not, but medieval writers believed it. Because Bjorn made the impossible feel possible. Bjorn did more than raid. He redefined Viking warfare. He proved that longships weren't confined to the north. They were global weapons. Bjorn Ironside didn't just terrify villages. He terrified continents. Number 3, Ragnar Lothbrok, the fear that outlived the man. Ragnar Lothbrok may have existed, or he may have been many men, melted into one story, but his impact was real. Because fear doesn't need a face, just a name. The sagas describe Ragnar as the scourge of Europe, the man who raided Paris, burned monasteries, and demanded ransom so massive they crippled kingdoms. Whether true or exaggerated, one thing is certain. Europe believed in him, and belief is dangerous. His most famous story, the Snake Pit, probably never happened. So why is it repeated endlessly? Because medieval chroniclers needed a monster, a symbol of northern terror, a story parents whispered to scare their children. But the legend didn't fade. Therefore, when Ragnar's supposed sons, the leaders of the great heathen army, invaded England, people believed it was for him. Fear became justification. Revenge became destiny. History became mythology. Ragnar wasn't dangerous because of the raids he led. He was dangerous because of the fear he left behind. A fear so strong it shaped the decisions of kings long after he vanished. Real or not, Ragnar Lothbrok changed history. Number 2. Ivar the Boneless, the strategist who broke England. Why was Ivar called Boneless? A disease? An insult? A physical condition? No one knows. But here's what does matter. He didn't need strong bones to break kingdoms, just a ruthless mind. As co-leader of the great heathen army, Ivar changed Viking warfare forever. He didn't raid for plunder. He invaded for power. Most Viking leaders fought with muscle. Ivar fought with psychology. He exploited every weakness in England's political map. 4 rival kingdoms, constantly fighting each other. Therefore, he attacked the weakest first, Northumbria. He captured York, killed King Ella, possibly through the Blood Eagle. True or not, the terror it inspired was real. Here's what made Ivar truly dangerous. He understood patience. He struck at harvest, at winter, at moments when panic replaced strategy. He punished betrayal brutally, rewarded loyalty when useful, installed puppet kings, took tribute, stayed for years. Ivar wasn't a raider. He was a political surgeon, cutting into England's structure, reshaping it piece by piece. To the Anglo-Saxons, Ivar was not a man. He was a nightmare that kept returning. By the time he was done, England's foundations were cracked. The Danelaw emerged. Viking power became permanent. Ivar the Boneless earns number 2 not because of violence, but because he changed the destiny of an entire nation. Number 1. Harald Hardrada, the last great Viking. If every Viking legend, every saga, every battle, every ambition were forged into one man, it would be Harald Hardrada. But his story isn't just extraordinary, it's improbable. At 15, he went to war, lost, fled Norway as an outlaw. Most exiles fade into history. Therefore, Harald did the opposite. He carved his name across 3 civilizations. What transforms a teenage refugee into the most dangerous Viking in history? He never stopped moving. First, Kievan Rus, training under Prince Yaroslav, mastering steppe warfare, tactics, discipline. Then Constantinople, the heart of the Byzantine Empire. Harald joined the Varangian Guard, not as a soldier, but as a rising storm. He fought in Sicily, Anatolia, Jerusalem, against pirates in the Mediterranean. He returned home with gold scars and a reputation as tall as his frame. But wealth wasn't enough. Therefore, he returned to Norway and took the throne. His rule was iron, strict laws, swift justice, enemies erased. But Harald wanted more. He wanted England. In 1066, he invaded with thousands of warriors. He wanted Fulford. Cities bent the knee. The North surrendered. For a moment, it looked like England might fall to a Viking one last time. But fate intervened. Therefore, the English marched north with impossible speed. At Stamford Bridge, Harald's men were caught off guard. No armor, no formation, just desperation. Harald stood in the center, a giant with a two-handed axe, singing battle songs as arrows rained down. One pierced his throat. The last great Viking fell. With Harald's death, something far bigger ended too. The Viking Age died with him. The Normans rose. Europe changed forever. Harald Hardrada wasn't just dangerous. He was the final echo of a world built on strength, storms, and steel. From exiles and outlaws, to raiders and kings, to shadows that outlived the men. These Vikings didn't just survive history, they shaped it. But here's the real question. Who else deserves a place on this list? And who should be ranked differently? Your answers decide what we explore next. If you want to see the raids that made warriors like this legendary, watch my Viking raids video next. Because fear fades, empires crumble, but Viking stories, they never truly die.